One area that's present in all of our lives, whether we're aware of it or not, is the art of deflection. It usually surfaces with the areas of our lives that we are the most uncomfortable with, and especially those areas that we're uncomfortable with people knowing about them, and even more so when those areas are brought to the surface. In John chapter 4, Jesus has an encounter with a Samaritan woman at a well. And during this conversation, we see this human tendency of deflection on full display in the midst of this conversation. In verse 7, we see Jesus appeal to her with kindness, and the woman responds completely defensively in verse 9. In verse 10, Jesus appeals to her curiosity, and then in verses 11 and 12, she responds with sarcasm. In verses 13 and 14, Jesus appeals to the spiritual senses, and her response in verse 15 is focused only on physical needs. In verse 16, Jesus appeals to her personal interest, and she responds with half-truths in 17. We see Jesus appeal to her conscience in verse 17 and 18, and the woman begins to raise controversial issues in verses 19 and 20. And then Jesus appears to her will in verses 21 through 24, and the woman decides to delay any decision in her response in verse 25. I think so many times in our lives, in our moments of our dysfunctions, our issues, and these areas where we need help, if they are recorded for us and played back for us today, we would see so many times that we have so much in common with this Samaritan woman at the well. When she was having a conversation of Jesus, when these things are exposed in our hearts, we simply want to deflect. So I would encourage you today to listen to what Jesus is saying to you. Be open to what His Holy Spirit is revealing about your life, the good, the bad, even the ugly. Because Jesus wants and He knows what is the very best for us. Even when we don't think that's true, or even when we don't agree with Him.